Hello class, my name is Jacob, and today I'm going to persuade you why it is imperative that you go on a gluten-free diet. You may ask yourself, what is gluten? Gluten is a protein composite that's found in foods processed from wheat. This gluten gives elasticity to the dough, which helps it rise and maintain its shape. It was discovered by Buddhist monks back in the late 7th century, and about 1 out of every 120 people develop an intolerance to gluten. You may ask yourself, well, if only 1 out of every 120 people develop this intolerance to gluten, why should I care about maintaining a gluten-free diet? Well, you may have a gluten intolerance and you just don't know it. You could be that 1 out of 120 people. And with the gluten intolerance, there's a lot of health issues that may come with that. And according to the Healthy Eating and Benefits of Gluten-Free, digestive issues is one of those things that could affect someone with a gluten intolerance. And by eliminating gluten from your diet, you will significantly help your digestive issues. Also, those with a celiac disease or gluten intolerance, eating gluten causes inflammation in the small intestine, which reduces the amount of nutrients that the body absorbs, causing malnutrition, according to the National Foundation of Celiac Awareness. Chronic inflammation can occur, causing severe pain, disease, as well as even cancer, for example, like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Also, inflammation in skin tissue can occur, like eczema, and those with a gluten intolerance and eat gluten can develop severe cases of eczema. And by eliminating this gluten protein, you will significantly reduce the appearance of eczema. Also, there can be neurological issues that occur. You can have headaches, foggy thinking, may develop ADHD-like symptoms, and even bouts of depression. And with that, there's also another issue that may occur. You also may suffer from malnutrition, which can cause a drop in energy level and cause you to be weak when you shouldn't be. And even with absorbing caffeine, you will not be able to regain that energy level that you should have. This is just a few things discussing your own personal health, but you may ask, well, if this affects me, it could potentially affect me this way, how could it affect my kids? Well, according to Jamie Heidel's article, Why Your Child is Not Doing What They're Doing It on Purpose, we discuss the potential developing behavioral problems that a child may encounter. They may develop poor coordination, not be able to control their arms and legs or even their body while engaging in activities. And this is directly related to gluten intolerance or the allergy of gluten. They may also encounter trouble communicating. With that, they may have trouble even with the slightest conversation with one another or another human being, and this is directly resulting in this gluten allergy. With having the trouble to communicate, they also might develop a self-destructive behavior that may result in the child hurting themselves or possibly another child. Also, this gluten allergy causes what is known as an opiate effect. After about 2 hours, when the child eats, they develop what is called an open mouth stare, and which can occur for several minutes to even an hour long. And this is directly related to the gluten intolerance. Also, a child may develop issues in engaging in group activities or sports. And it's not simply just because of the body's inability to have proper coordination, but it's also for the simple fact that the child's cognitive ability to understand the rules of the game are not there. And they will continue to have issues just participating in average games, resulting in the child's peers believing that he is cheating when in fact he is just simply not getting the rules. Also, children with a gluten intolerance or gluten allergy may develop obsessive behaviors where they will go on hours and hours on end describing a toy or an activity when in other cases the children would not do that. Also, children may engage in what's known as nonsense talk, where the children believe that they are communicating to an individual in proper English, where in actuality they're speaking complete gibberish. And it may also cause the children to be frustrated and result in further self-destructive behavior. Children also may develop physical symptoms like before I stated, dealing with stomach pain, diarrhea, constipation, may also develop what is known as a drugged look in the eyes due to this gluten allergy. Gluten has also been very closely linked to autism or Asperger's disease. It is the lack of eye contact or the inability to read social cues or also engage in nonsense talk. And these symptoms are directly linked to these diseases. But with that, there are easy ways to substitute for gluten foods. Right here I have a few examples. Here we have what are called rice thins. They're the supplement for wheat thins. They do not contain gluten, and they taste not only as good, but probably better than the wheat thins. And we also have here what are known as Cheesy Crisps from Crunchmaster, and these, I would say, compare to a Cheez-It. They do not contain gluten. They have the 22 grams of whole grain that are required, and they provide the nutrients without having to suffer the gluten aspect of the cracker. Also, for those who like to enjoy beer, according to the Ultimate Free Diet Guide, there's substitute beers as well that don't contain wheat and barley. So, you know, those who don't want to have to suffer drinking beer that has gluten, you can drink gluten-free beer and it tastes just as good, if not better. Also, discussing this gluten intolerance subject, my father was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma back in 2008. He felt that originally this was due to his life of smoking, but later found out that he had what is known as a gluten intolerance or celiac disease. Due to this disease, he then, with his relationship with his doctors, came to the conclusion that his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was linked to his celiac disease and his inability to properly process food and the gluten protein. Now that my father is on a gluten-free diet, he's seen significant change in his appearance, his ability to process foods and not have irritable bowel or constipation or intestinal issues. He also feels that his cognitive level of thinking is significantly better than it was when he was in his early to mid-40s. Also, my father dealt with bouts of depression, and with that, after he's gone on his gluten-free diet, he has no longer had issues with developing depressive episodes. So in conclusion, we went over different symptoms that you may develop with eating or digesting the gluten protein. We also discussed how it might affect your child's development. We also discussed how it is easy to find products in the stores that don't contain gluten but might taste just as good, if not better. And I also discussed with you my personal experience with my father and his gluten issues and how he has been able to fight this issue and is living a healthy life. Thank you for listening to my speech, and I hope you all have a nice night. Thank you.